Welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining me today as we tackle the Big Eight, the most severe food allergens. We are digging into an absolutely vital topic in the worlds of food safety and public health. Because, let's be honest, whether you're a culinary professional, a food manufacturer, a health regulator, or literally just someone cooking dinner for your family at home, understanding these specific allergens, well, it isn't just about ticking compliance boxes. Actually, it is literally about saving lives. Over the course of our time together today, we're going to look really closely at the science, the hidden dangers that lurk in our food, and the incredibly strict safety protocols required to manage these risks. We'll be talking about how professional kitchens have to operate, right down to the exact personal protective equipment staff need. I'm talking specialized nitro gloves, heavy-duty masks, dedicated aprons, the whole shebang needed to prevent an absolute disaster. We've got a lot of fascinating, incredibly important ground to cover, so let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this by defining exactly what we are up against. Anaphylaxis. Now, you might hear allergy and think of a mild rash, or maybe a slight stomachache, but anaphylaxis? No way. This is a rapid, multi-organ, life-threatening allergic reaction. It essentially causes the immune system to hit the panic button, releasing a sudden, massive flood of chemicals. This can send the body into shock, dangerously dropping blood pressure and narrowing the airways so much that it can block breathing entirely. What makes the allergens we are discussing today so incredibly dangerous, whether you're globally located or right here in places like South Africa, is that it doesn't even take a full bite of food to trigger this massive systemic response. Even microscopic trace amounts of these high-risk allergens can be fatal for a highly sensitive individual. This is exactly why the stakes in food preparation are just sky high. Meticulous handling isn't just a best practice. It's a strict medical necessity. To digest all this critical information, here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll meet the Big Eight. Then we'll tackle them in logical pairs: peanuts and tree nuts, milk and egg allergens, wheat and soy risks, and finally, seafood threats. Let's start with Section 1. Meet the Big Eight, the world's most severe food allergens. Now, what's really interesting here is looking at all these global threats at a single glance. Peanuts, tree nuts, milk, eggs, wheat, soy, fish, and crustacean shellfish. Seeing them laid out like this emphasizes a huge reality for food businesses. You have to be aware of all of them simultaneously. This kind of comprehensive awareness is exactly what drives manufacturers and restaurant owners to prioritize their safety measures. You can't just focus on managing one specific ingredient. You have to build a unified, impenetrable defense against all eight. Every single one of these has the potential to trigger that severe anaphylaxis we just talked about. And because of that, your personal protective equipment, your kitchen boundaries, and your daily protocols must account for the entire group. It's like a giant puzzle where every piece has to be handled perfectly. Moving right along to Section 2, peanuts and tree nuts, which carry extreme sensitivity risks. So, nut allergies are notorious for being lifelong and highly persistent. Furthermore, peanut and tree nut proteins are just stubbornly resilient. They cling to surfaces, cutting boards, and machinery if they aren't eradicated with highly specific, validated cleaning procedures. To really drive home how dangerous this is, there's a quote from our source material that hits the nail on the head. Extreme sensitivity. Even tiny traces of peanuts, such as crumbs on a cutting board or residue in cooking oil, can trigger a severe allergic reaction. I want you to picture a bustling commercial kitchen for a second. A cook chops peanuts for a garnish, quickly wipes the board with a towel, and then uses that exact same board to prep a salad. Or imagine frying a peanut-crusted chicken breast and then using that exact same oil to cook an order of French fries. Those invisible crumbs and microscopic oil residues, they are literally enough to be fatal. It's a terrifying micro-narrative for sure, but it is the absolute reality of severe food allergies. Alongside peanuts, we have tree nuts. And this is a big category, encompassing a wide variety of nuts like almonds, walnuts, cashews, hazelnuts, pecans, pistachios, Brazil nuts, and macadamia nuts. What makes tree nuts particularly challenging is that individuals often have multiple sensitivities because the risk of cross-contamination in shared facilities is so extraordinarily high. These nuts are constantly hiding in desserts, baked goods, sauces, and pestos. Allergy management protocols usually recommend avoiding all tree nuts completely if even a single sensitivity is confirmed. It's simply the safest way to ensure an accidental transfer doesn't happen. Think about what this means for food workers. If you're wearing an apron and gloves in a bakery environment, you have to be hyper-aware that simply touching an almond totally cross-contaminates your gear for any nut-free item you handle next.
So the crucial point is how we actually manage these extreme nut risks in a practical everyday setting. Step 1, we must clearly label tree nut and peanut containing foods and physically separate them from nut-free products in storage. Step 2, we have to use dedicated equipment. This often means utilizing color-coded utensils. For example, grabbing a red-handled knife that is only ever used for nut products. And finally, step 3, rigorous cleaning protocols for all surfaces and equipment are absolutely mandatory. But here's the thing, none of this works without specialized training. Staff have to be trained not just to follow these steps, but to actively recognize these ingredients in complex recipes. They need to know exactly how to strip off contaminated personal protective equipment immediately to break that chain of cross-contact. Let's jump to section 3, which focuses on milk and egg allergens, what I like to call the hidden daily staples. These daily staples are incredibly common, particularly in infants and young children, making extreme vigilance in schools, daycares, and family restaurants absolutely critical. And this brilliantly illustrates one of the biggest, most dangerous misconceptions in food safety. We have got to understand the massive life or death difference between a true milk allergy and lactose intolerance. A true milk allergy is an immune system reaction to milk proteins, specifically casein or whey. It can range from mild skin symptoms all the way to life-threatening anaphylaxis. Lactose intolerance, on the other hand, that is strictly a digestive issue where the body just lacks the enzyme to break down milk sugar. It is not an immune response. Mixing these two up can literally be deadly. If a customer says they have a milk allergy, food staff cannot just offer lactose-free milk because those casein and whey proteins are still fully present. We must deeply understand this difference to keep people safe.
Eggs are equally tricky, and it's important to note that both egg whites and egg yolks can cause severe reactions. Let's look at their common hiding spots: baking, mayonnaise, pasta, pastry glazes, and countless processed foods. Think about a bakery prep station for a second. A baker brushes a beautiful, shiny glaze onto a croissant using an egg wash. If that baker doesn't completely strip off their gloves, thoroughly wash their hands, and put on fresh personal protective equipment before moving on to prepare a vegan or egg-free pastry, well, they've just contaminated the new product. The allergen is completely invisible on the surface of their gloves, but it's there, waiting to trigger a massive immune response.
All right, moving to section 4, wheat and soy risks. These are the pervasive plant-based ingredients. What makes wheat and soy so incredibly difficult to avoid is their widespread use in modern commercial food manufacturing. They aren't just standalone foods. They're the architectural fillers, thickeners, and binders of the entire processed food world. Just like with milk, we need to clear up some major confusion regarding wheat. A true wheat allergy is an immediate, life-threatening immune response to the proteins found in wheat, causing skin reactions, breathing difficulties, digestive symptoms, and yes, anaphylaxis. Celiac disease and gluten intolerance, while profoundly serious and life-altering, are fundamentally different conditions from a true immediate allergy. For someone with a true wheat allergy, any contact with wheat, which hides invisibly in bread, pasta, flour products, and all sorts of processed foods, can cause a sudden medical emergency. It's a critical distinction that anyone preparing or handling food simply has to understand. Soy shares that exact same pervasive nature. It is heavily utilized across the entire food industry. Of course, you'll find it in the obvious places like tofu, soy milk, and vegetarian meat replacement products. But the real hidden danger? That lies in its use as a processed food filler or an emulsifier. Emulsifiers act like a bridge to help oil and water mix together smoothly, which means soy derivatives can be found in everything from chocolate bars to salad dressings. Soy allergies can range from mild to severe, and because it acts as this ubiquitous, behind-the-scenes ingredient, meticulous, line-by-line ingredient verification by food staff is absolutely essential. You just have to read the labels to protect consumers from cross-contact. And finally, we arrive at Section 5, the seafood threats, covering fish and crustacean shellfish. Let's look at finfish first. Common allergens include cod, tuna, salmon, and haddock. But the danger here isn't just sitting on the plate. There is a terrifying hidden threat in commercial kitchens when it comes to fish, and that is airborne proteins. When fish is cooked, especially if it's vigorously grilled or fried, the allergenic proteins can literally become airborne, traveling right up in the steam and smoke. This means an extremely sensitive individual breathing that air can go into full anaphylaxis without ever taking a single bite. It's wild, right? This shocking reality makes proper, heavy-duty ventilation systems and even specialized masks or advanced PPE for staff handling high volumes of fish a critical, non-negotiable consideration in professional culinary environments. Then we have crustacean shellfish, which includes prawns, shrimp, crab, and lobster. Seafood allergies are particularly notable because they are often lifelong afflictions. In fact, crustacean shellfish allergy is actually one of the leading causes of adult-onset food allergies. That means someone can safely eat shrimp their entire life and then suddenly develop a life-threatening allergy to it in their 30s. The major risk here, and it's a massive one, is cross-contamination. Imagine a commercial deep fryer. If you drop a basket of shrimp into that hot oil, the shellfish proteins instantly disperse throughout the liquid. Every single item cooked in that oil afterwards is now coated in crustacean shellfish proteins. A shared fryer or a shared grill is basically an allergen distribution system if it isn't properly segregated.
Let's see how this builds into practical safety protocols. Preventing seafood cross-contact requires establishing strict physical boundaries. Step 1. Do not share fryers or grills. Dedicated, physically separated equipment is the only safe path. Step 2. Change your personal protective equipment continuously. Moving from the seafood station to the vegetable station requires peeling off those gloves, thoroughly washing your hands, and ideally changing your apron entirely to prevent transferring those microscopic proteins that might be embedded on your clothes. Step 3. Maintain absolute strict separation of all utensils. Fresh, clean protective gear and fully isolated tools are completely mandatory when you're dealing with the severity of seafood allergens.
Well, we have covered immense ground today, exploring the severe risks and the meticulous, necessary management of the big 8 food allergens. From the persistent crumbs of peanuts to the airborne proteins of cooking fish, the threats are real, they're hidden, and they're deadly. So I want to leave you with this provocative question to ponder. Is your kitchen truly safe from cross-contact? Whether you are evaluating a massive commercial food plant, a busy local restaurant, or just your own home kitchen, I strongly urge you to look closely at your environments, your equipment segregation, and your personal protective equipment standards. The knowledge you have now is the first, crucial step in creating a truly safe space. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and above all, keep safe.